Welcome to the Hacking Your Health podcast with Ben Canning and Dave Kennedy. Two guys heading out to hack body, mind, business, and beyond. We are here to provide a single source, bullshit-free guide to understanding your body and how you can live better for longer.
What's up? Welcome back, everybody. I am an overstimulated and excited Ben Canning.
I'm Dave Kennedy. I think.
You definitely
I know I'm Dave Kennedy, but
I tanned.
I am a tanned Dave Kennedy. Yes. It's amazing.
And this is Hacking Your Health podcast.
Yes, this is Hacking Your Health. It's going to be crazy today. Sorry. So Ben just had a late night serving of caffeine. So
no, I have had. Okay, so full disclosure, I've had too much caffeine and too many other stimulants today. So this. Plus, I've been talking quite a lot. Like I recorded that training video for the client group, and I've been on 3 calls back to back. So I've been talking quite a lot. So I feel like I have a lot to give here.
Yeah, I think you do too.
Strap yourself in,
boys and girls. Ben Canning is going to be a wild one today.
Right. What's going on with you, man? How are you?
Well, listen, a lot actually happening. So I had a major cook-off yesterday at the Trusted Tech headquarters. I spent 3 full days cooking a whole bunch of meats. So I had.
Is that why you haven't texted me in 3 days?
Listen, I've been busy. All right, I've been texting you. What are you talking about? What are you talking about? No, I've been texting. But I. It's just not our normal 500 texts. It's only been like 150 to 200 texts. So, you know, it's and
the majority of them have just been like food pictures.
Yeah. But I cooked like 50 pounds of pork shoulder. I cooked 10 full racks of ribs, and I did a whole bunch of chicken wings, which next time you're here, by the way, we didn't really get to do it last time, but I definitely want to smoke some meats for you and get you the true American experience when you're here next time around. But it went good. We had like over 150 people show up, and it literally was nothing other than hang out, eat meats, and then my wife surprised me with a cake, a 40-year cake. So my 40-year birthday is in a couple days, which, you know.
How does it feel? How does it feel to look 40 when you're 28, but look 28 when you're 40?
Yes, like that's exactly how I feel. I feel the best I ever have my entire life. 40 is just a number for me. I can give 2 shits. Like, I don't care about that number. I feel great. I feel wonderful. The best shape I've ever been in my entire life, and I'm only going up from here. So it's like one of those things. Although, I'll tell you, I was at Orange Theory today, and I'm like, shit, why am I so slow? Why am I so sore? Like, my calves are sore. I'm like, oh, yeah, I did legs day yesterday because I was off by a day. So, because I had to do legs on Sunday, and then I did legs yesterday. So I'm, like, exhausted. As far as all of that's going. So anyways, but good workout regardless. But everything else is going good. I got my spray tan done yesterday for the very first time. So if you're on the YouTube side, you're going to notice a much more tan Dave Kennedy. And I'll tell you, we talked about this before on the podcast around going to a gym and having that like fear and anxiety of doing something new and going to a gym and not feeling like you belong and those types of things. I absolutely had that yesterday going in and getting a spray tan done because, you know, first of all, obviously talked to my wife about it and everything else. We're going out to Vegas next week, so I wanted to have like a little bit of a tan for that and all that good stuff. And Erin's coming out with me as well, so she'll be out there with me. And so I'm sitting in the parking lot. I'm just texting Ben, and I'm just like, shit, man, like I'm so nervous. I'm like I got to go and get a spray tan. Like, do they actually have dudes that go and do this? Like, am I just like an outlier? Is this weird? Like, you know, is this a social norm thing? I don't know. So I'm like, I sat in the car probably for like an extra 20 minutes waiting to go inside because I didn't want to go in. And honestly, it was the most painless thing I've ever gone. She's like, yep, cool, go back here. Here's what's going to happen. You know, obviously I had to drop down to my underwear, which was a little unusual. But then I did 2 coats. I think, what was the last time you did? You had like 37 coats done?
No, 7. I did 7. But I was actually thinking this whenever you were texting me. So I was like, for me, in that situation, it was quote unquote normal because I was surrounded by people who did it and I was having conversations about it because I did it specifically for a photo shoot. So somebody talked me through the process. Somebody else was there was 2 other people who were doing the photo shoot with me at the same time. The place that I went to is, so my friend Ali's wife owns a salon. So there's a lot of things that are like, yes, I did
perfect
feel like
alignment.
I should be there.
Yeah.
Yeah, I felt like I shouldn't be there, but it was okay because there was somebody that I knew. There was that sort of like I walked in and like everybody stopped and like looked at, and then but there was a lot of things that sort of made me feel a little bit more comfortable. Like, and maybe this isn't a comfort thing. I had been there 2 days before to get my legs waxed. Whole different story.
I can honestly say I've never done that.
Wouldn't recommend it. So there was a whole different like I felt okay, but it was like normal. I was thinking about you whenever you were texting me. I was like, there's so many things going through his head here about like what to expect. Like I had an idea of what I was getting into, but you just did not. So and I would like to say, like, you definitely trusted me in the things that I said. Because I could have told you anything.
Yeah.
I could be like, yes, you need to do this. You bring one of these with you, and don't forget this. And
I did exactly that. I did, so, like, I went and got like I got the little pad that you scrape all your old skin off, right? I did that, and then I put exfoliator on beforehand, and then nice and exfoliated. I guess I don't know what the hell that means. I had no idea what I was getting with the nail polish, so I bought some like clear nail polish, but it's like a gel that you have to like. I don't know. Like, I read the directions, so like I have no fucking idea what any of this means. So like I threw it away, and then so I didn't do the nail polish idea, but I'll have to do that next time for sure. But like I said, it was really easy, simple, and the best part about it was there was literally nobody in there except for the front desk person. So like it made it much more calmer because I didn't have to why are you here getting a spray tan? Like that's
sit in a waiting room.
Yeah, just not making eye contact with anybody as you look at it. But no, it was totally fine. And then I'll tell you, I obviously have a very big issue tanning. Like I just burn. As hard as I try, like I'll spend hours in the sun and try to get a tan and just burn. So it's always been an issue to me from having a fair skin perspective. I would tell you, having a tan, obviously it being a fake tan, but having a tan is crazy. Like it's like, wow, I somehow dropped like 20, 30 pounds. I can see my visible abs like crazy. They're popping and I look like jacked as hell. So like just that small amount of difference of skin color made such a huge impact of like my total physique. It was insane. I couldn't even believe it. Like I was like checking myself out in the mirror and Erin's like, are you seriously checking yourself? I'm like, I have a tan now. Come on, look at this. Look at this. You see this? She's like, I do. It looks great. But like, it's kind of weird that you've been like here for like an hour in the, it hasn't been that long, but it was an interesting experience.
But yes, it makes night and day difference.
It does.
You know what I mean? Like you're bigger and you're leaner, and that's why it's such a big thing in the industry and the things that I did before. So yeah, there's a lot to be said.
I might do this more regularly, to be honest with you. I'm thinking about doing this on a more regular basis. I don't know about like a weekly basis or whatever, but like, maybe like once or twice a month or something like that would be a good balance or something. I don't know.
Well, we'll see. I'll notice because you'll be tan and you're checking photos, so I'll get to see whether you're doing it or not.
Did you see the picture? Did you see the picture I sent you?
Yes, I did. Can we talk about why you were wearing a blonde wig?
So just to break it down a little bit. So every week we had check-in photos with Ben, and it's always great to look at progress photos as you're going through. So my week 0, week 1, all the way to whatever week we're on now. And I was actually cleaning up the back area of where I take my photos at because there's like some like towels and stuff like that. So I was making it clean. So I obviously got to have a presentable background for Ben when I'm taking my check-in photos. And I noticed there's always this green envelope there that I always thought was Erin's, and apparently it was mine. And I ordered some Thor hair because I was going to go for Thor for Halloween last year, but Halloween never happened. So I had this Thor wig just basically sitting there for a long time. So I put my Thor wig on for my check-in photos. Along with my tan. I'll tell you, it actually looked really good. I'm like, I really wish I could grow out like long flowy hair like this because I look pretty good in it. I'd be tan. And I'm like, oh shit, this is awesome. So I might just start wearing a Thor wig and see if anybody notices. But it was it's actually kind of interesting. I'm like, trying to get it out of my shoulders and put it in the back, get it nice and long and in a perfect and then actually do the check-in photo. So you'll see later today about my Thor hair. So
yeah. Yeah, thanks for that.
You're welcome. How are you doing, dude?
You know what? I'm doing really fucking good. Like, really good.
So let's talk about your sleep, by the way.
What do you want to know?
Well, I've been getting some late night texts from you, and
like late night your night or late night?
Late night my night, which is late night for you, like real late for you. You haven't been sleeping very well. You haven't been sleeping very well.
You've been getting early morning texts from me, which are late night for you. So I've been getting up at 4:20.
Okay.
to get work done.
Okay.
So,
okay. All right. I was making sure.
not-
I'm just checking in on you, making sure you're getting your sleep. All right. Because,
I'm still not getting a lot of sleep because I'm getting up early, but what I'm trying to do is reset myself back to getting up early and getting stuff done, because I'm finding that because I'm getting up slightly later, I almost like feel like I have to work later. Whereas if I get up in the morning, I can get like 4 or 5 times the amount of work done in that space in the morning. So I don't feel as much pressure later on in the day or like in the evening to get work done or go back to work after dinner or whatever. So I've just been sort of trying to reset myself into that. So yes, I appreciate it, but they're not late night for me. I was just getting up early.
okay.
But
All
yes,
right.
apart from that, things are good. I mean, like I said, I've been speaking quite a lot today. I recorded that training, which was a bit of a funny one. And the main thing that I want you and everybody else who's listening to get from it is, and we can have a conversation about this, the first slide in it was how you do one thing is how you do everything. And this is something that somebody said to me years ago, can't remember who it was, what the context was, but it's something that stuck with me. And the reason that I brought it up in the training is whenever we talk about discipline and whenever we talk about everything that we talk about, it literally comes down to that one thing. And as I said before, whenever I put it to you, I probably did say this to you whenever we first spoke, it was whenever your training and your nutrition are in line, everything else falls in line with it. But that comes back to that exact thing of how you do one thing is how you do everything. So whenever you're disciplined with your training, you're disciplined with your time, you're disciplined with work, you're disciplined with your finances, like all these things sort of fall into line. So I enjoyed doing that training. Then I had 3 onboarding calls back to back, which is always exciting because it's these people who are like at the very, you imagine whenever we had ours, like the very start of the journey, it's like all this overwhelm of like, what the fuck am I going to do? What's going to happen here? And like sort of bring them back down to a level. And the one thing that I will say, one of the guys, and I know he is listening, had my calendar open since December last year and didn't book the call until like 2 weeks ago. So putting that off for that amount of time, think about how far on you could have been. So if somebody's listening and
7 months.
Yeah.
6 months.
Like imagine the shit that you could have done in that amount of time.
Yep.
So if you're that person and keep opening the calendar or whatever, just fucking book the call, because number one, it's not scary as you think it's going to be. And number two, time goes fast. Like we're into August on Monday. So like get the shit done.
Yeah. The prioritization aspect, I think, is one of the hardest things for people to buy off on. You hear commonly like, why does it suck to go to the gym so often? But I just saw a post from somebody on social media around, and I'll get the name here in a second, but it's just escaping me. But she had talked about how the gym started feeling like it was just an awesome thing to go to now. She was feeling rewarded by it, and it had taken months for her to get there.
Oh, the switch?
Yes, the switch,
yes,
right? The flip
yes,
between,
yeah.
The gym feeling like a chore versus the gym feeling like you're doing something great, right? And that's very different, but the prioritization around that is a whole different aspect, right? When you look at prioritization in your life, we're all freaking busy. We all have life, right? We all have kids or whatever. We have our jobs. Maybe we're just starting our career. Maybe we're late in our career. Maybe we're older and we're just setting our routines. Maybe we're younger and we're setting our routines in a different way. We all have a busy life, and it's busy because that's how life is. But like the thing is that, I got asked most recently, I was on a Facebook message around career advice, and this individual had said, listen, I'm getting hit from all angles at my job, and I'm finding that I'm working till 9, 10, 11 o'clock at night, and I just can't keep it all done. And I'm just overwhelmed with the amount of people coming to me for things that I need to get done that I have to do. And I said back to him, I said, listen, I run 2 companies, not in comparison to you. I mean, my life is just as busy as yours is versus somebody else's. But there's no way I could successfully run 2 businesses and get everything done. It's not possible. I would kill myself, like destroy myself physically, mentally, everything else. And so I said, well, what I have to do is I have to take the top things that I think I can accomplish that day that are most important to complete, that are pressing items that I have to get done. And I don't do the rest of them. I just don't do the rest of them because I can't do it all, right? If that's, responding to a request or doing this, I'm sorry, I don't have the time to do this. I'm too busy. So you have to figure out, and you have to figure out what's most important for your career, what's most important for your job, what's most important for your life and your family, what's most important for you personally, and prioritize those. And I guarantee you, if you shave out the rest of the noise, you do have time to work out. You do have time to go to the gym. you do have time to eat nutritionally healthy. You do have time to go in and spend time for yourself to better yourself to live longer. And I think those are the principles that you have to look at in your life and say, we're all busy, but I'm going to make time for myself because I can't do everything, right? And, here's the thing. When I'm at the gym, I still get stuff done. We have cell phones, and so here's a funny story, actually. It's something that I saw on a Facebook short here recently. And it was a guy breaking down the science behind how long you spend at the gym, okay? And what he was saying is, listen, if you're going for muscle hypertrophy, strength, whatever it ends up being, if you, let's just say you pause for a minute and then you do your next set versus pausing for 3 minutes and doing your next set, your 3-minute set is going to be substantially stronger. And you're going to get more out of your muscle by pausing a little bit of time in between. And for me, I always thought I was procrastinating, which I definitely was, but I was getting other things done at that time. So I would go and get a lift session in, and then I'd go get an email done, or I'd, get some work done really quick, 3 minute, quick blocks, 2-3 minutes in between. And then I'd go hit another set again. But my lifts would take, hour and a half to 2 hours, but I'd get a ton of work done, right? So I have maximized my time in the gym and at work because I'm able to take a little bit of pause in between there, but I'm also destroying my muscles even more, which is even an added benefit. So, you figure out what works for you in your own type of life to accommodate the lifestyle that you need to be healthy, successful, and make this a more of a routine. So I think, again, breaking it down, you have time. There's no question.
It's actually funny you mentioned that because
why isn't my Jocko thing playing
today?
My Jocko thing's not playing. Did you hear it? I didn't hear it either. Oh my God. No Jocko today, everybody. Sorry.
So it's funny.
Jocko's not here today.
He's on another podcast. It's funny that you mentioned time because I was going to text you and say we should do one on time, but I think that what we're going to talk about is more fitting. But there's a couple of things that I'll point out in terms of time.
There it is.
Good. There he is. He's back.
Good. There it is. Loud.
The first thing is yes. Like the first thing is, as I said, I've started getting up earlier again because I know I'm more productive in that time, and that's about understanding myself. And I've been talking to Luke in the client group about it, and he finds that he's more productive in the evening. So he knows that about himself, and that's okay. But it's about understanding those things for yourself. The other thing is, whenever I get up, there's a couple of things that I'll do that'll sort of get me ahead of the day. And whenever I feel like I'm ahead of the day, I actually get more stuff done. I'll go for a walk. I'll listen to podcasts at the same time. So I'll get 5,000 steps in. So it means at the end of the day, and this when it comes back to discipline equals freedom, whenever I have the discipline at the start of the day to go and get 5,000 steps in at a ridiculous hour when the sun's not up, I have the freedom later on the day not to have to worry about that. The other thing that I've touched on a couple of times with clients in the past week is this same conversation about time. Like when life gets busy, what do I do about my training? And it comes down to exactly what you said in terms of priorities. And I think oftentimes too, people try and tag themselves on at the end. Like, okay, right, this is work, this is this, this is this, this is this. And then I have like half an hour, 45 minutes for myself to get done here at the end of the day, which means that whenever all those busy normal life things are going on and something else happens, the first thing to go is the thing that's on the bottom. So if you prioritize yourself higher up on that list, it shouldn't matter what else is going on because that's your time and it's a non-negotiable, and you ditch all the stuff at the end of the day. The thing that you're saying as well, to the guy with the Facebook message about overwhelm, and you said about just you prioritizing the tasks, there's a book called Eat That Frog by
Eat That Frog, is that what you said?
Tracy. Eat That Frog.
So have you ever eaten a frog before?
It's like I have eaten frog's legs before, but I don't think
I was curious.
That.
Yeah. I wasn't a fan. Yeah.
So
it tastes like chicken, but I'm not a fan of it.
How many grams of protein go in a frog?
We might be onto something here. Maybe we need protein powder that's made out of frog's legs. It's a lot of frogs.
How many frogs would I have to eat to get 220 grams of protein? Anyway, so the idea of the book is about eating a frog. It's super short. It's 21 chapters, but they're like...
I love those types of books. Those are my favorite. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah, so easy to read. So the idea of it is that you eat the frog at the start of the day. So the frog is your biggest, ugliest task, and you get that done in a way, and it means that everything else that you quote unquote eat or have to
much
do
easier
throughout the rest of the day is more manageable.
It's good philosophy.
The book is great.
A lot of times,
eating frogs every
use
morning.
an analogy from here on out. A lot of things that I'll do, like sometimes I'll do the exact opposite, where I'll procrastinate with a very large thing and then it never gets done. because like I never get to it because it's such a big task. But getting that knocked out in the morning, having that sense of relief that you don't have that anymore, and then from there, knock out the rest of your day. The rest of the day seems really easy, and it's actually a feeling that I had today, where I had a bunch of meetings in the morning. I got Orange Theory done in the morning, and I was like, I'm going to go knock out my lift really quick so that I don't have to worry about my lift in the afternoon. And I can just relax and get stuff done, and that's exactly what I did. So I was able to get my lift in, pretty much ready to go for the rest of the day. And I can just chill and, drink Starbucks, hopefully not get in a car crash and it spills all over my window, but, really enjoy the rest of the day and get, my work and everything else knocked out that I need to. So not that the lift is a huge component, but it's a big component that I have to dedicate a lot of time to in order to accomplish it. And I looked at the rest of my day and I'm like, oh, hey, I got a lot of stuff to do the rest of the day. So this is perfect.
Yeah. And it just comes out like you're saying about procrastinating and stuff. I remember times that I used to specifically write things in my to-do list that I had already done. Just tick it off to feel like I'd accomplished something. So instead of like procrastinating for the big task, I'd be like, number one, write to-do list.
I used to you basically have like a text document that I open up. I used to use Google Keeps, and I would have a task list that I would have to do for the day in there. But what I didn't like about that is like if something happened throughout the day and I had a calendar, I'd have to like match my task list with my calendar. So what I ended up doing that worked really well for me is that I live and die by my calendar. So my calendar is literally filled with, even if it's a task, I put my task in the calendar and the time that I'm going to do it in that day so that I know I can accomplish it in a certain period of time. So if it's writing a new presentation or getting my lift in, I know that I have to get it done in a certain time. Like I mentioned to you yesterday when in the text messages that, I only had time for legs. I didn't have time to get my chest done because, again, my calendar is my calendar is what I live and die by. So if it's not on my calendar, it's not getting done that day. So if something, unless it's a critical emergency situation that I have to deal with, right? Like our podcasts are put on at noon every Wednesday. It's always there, but there are times where something urgent comes up where I have to like reschedule my can we go to Friday? But most of the time we're here every Wednesday. Same with you, knocking out the podcast every single time because it's in the calendar. So if it's not in the calendar, not getting done. And, what's great is Aaron has access to my calendar. All my employees have access to my calendar. So they see my calendar and say, okay, well, here's Dave's available times. If it's not on there, nothing's happening today or this next day or whatever. It's not going to happen today. So it's just, I live by my calendar. It's known that I live by my calendar. And if it's not on my calendar, it's not happening.
Yeah, I think that I posted this as well, so you can see it in the background here if you're watching my 4K weeks thing. I don't know, I didn't send it directly to you, but basically Matt has one of these in the back of his office. And basically what it is every week that you have been alive is marked off in black dots, and then it shows you, I think it goes up to 88 years. You can get either 88 or 100 years. I went for 88 because I doubt I'm going to live to 100. But basically you literally mark the weeks off every week. So it's to sort of show you like how, number one, how quickly weeks go, but number two, sort of as a reminder of like, look how many weeks, I know that not everybody can see because they're not watching, but look how many weeks are gone on mine. Do you know what I mean? I'm like, maybe still getting shit done. Just as another reminder, because I'll be able to see it, obviously, when I'm recording videos, to stop fucking procrastinating and just get shit done, because like life is fast. Done.
One last thing I got to talk about before we get into our topic of the DefCon prepared guide to how do you survive DefCon and still eat healthy, live healthy, do your stuff, get things done. Is I switched to Aura again, so I got my Aura ring on.
Yes, you did.
And going good so far. I actually got the sizing guide coming back because I want to be able to move it to my index finger. So I need a little bit of a bigger ring there. So I'm getting that done. But so far so good. I've come to the fact that even with Whoop on, my lifting routines aren't really being recorded in the first place because it's not a high heart rate situation. So your strain really isn't fully represented in that either is in Aura. So having the ring and not having an extra band on the right side is something that I'm looking at. So we'll see how it goes. So far, so good on Aura. And maybe I'll keep that as a major switch and off of Whoop. So last update there.
Yeah, and that's exactly it. Like, I understand people's concerns, and there was actually a bit of chat going on about it in the Discord. If you're not in the Discord, shameless plug, We Hack Health, find us there. And people are like, oh, I don't want to wear it when I'm lifting. I don't want to lose a finger. And I'm like, absolutely. Like, number one, I don't want to wreck it. Number two, I don't want to lose a finger. Maybe not in that order. I would rather wreck it and not lose a finger. But for me, I don't wear it. I don't give a shit about how many calories I'm burning whenever I'm training. And you've been involved in this conversation before, like, we often see people either in the client group or in the Discord or on Twitter or whatever, complaining that they don't get as much of a strain on Whoop whenever they're doing their lift versus if they're doing some sort of cardio. And I think that's because Whoop's geared towards that, and it's because of your heart rate. Whereas your heart rate doesn't elevate to the same point whenever you're lifting.
But that doesn't mean you're not putting your body under extreme strain or stress, right? It's just different types, cardiovascular versus, resistance training. So very different, type of exercise.
Yeah. So that's why, and like I said to you, whenever you mentioned it the other day, like I'll drive to the gym, I'll take it off, I'll put it in the little cup holder, I'll go into the gym, I'll train, I'll come back out, and I'll put it back on. So the only time I'm not wearing it or don't track it is when I'm in the gym or whenever it's on the charger over there, like once a week. So would highly recommend.
Awesome. Well, let's get into the discussion.
Which leads us into we need a button for that. We make it
you son of a bitch.
How's that? That's the one I got. So yeah,
perfect. Absolutely perfect. Right. So what we wanted to talk today specifically about is conference survival guide, or even more specifically DefCon, because the amount of times that I've spoken about it coming up recently has been insane. Obviously, given the general audience, the general people that I work with, the majority of them are going, and some sort of like survival guide for conferences in general, and specifically DefCon. Now, I have never been to Las Vegas.
We're gonna have to change that eventually.
And I have never been. Yeah, I mean, I feel like I'll go to DefCon next year. I can't not go at this point. I have never been, believe it or not, to a hacking conference. So
it's an experience.
What we're going to do is, Dave obviously has. Yes, I can imagine. Dave obviously has
15,
been to many,
17 years
will know the general struggles.
Going to Vegas. Dear God. Every time I go there and I smell Vegas, I'm like, oh, there's 17 years of being hammered here,
So you'll know the struggles, like what people will be going for, but also now, because you're in a different sort of mindset, you'll know what we're going to do. So we're just going to have a conversation about how to sort of manage it.
I'm excited. I'd gone last year to Vegas, and obviously we had done this, been on this health kick for longer than that. And so I learned a lot of things out there, learned a lot of things as I've traveled. And, what we're talking about here, and if you're not in the security industry and, you're what's Blackhat and DefCon, it's just a massive hacker conference in Vegas. Happens to be during the hottest times in Vegas. So it's like the worst times ever. So it's like 110, 120 degrees outside. And, you're roasting basically, but you're not really going outside much. You're not getting much vitamin D. And, it's a environment that is much more of I think a party is the best way of explaining it. Parties going on all the time. A lot of people, partaking in alcohol and things. So it's a kind of a shit show from
partaking in alcohol.
It's a very
in alcohol, right? So I've been to occasions like that, but no, not specifically to conferences.
So the healthy part of it is the tough part, right? So for me, when I am going out there, I plan my times accordingly. So my current routine, I look at my current routine, I say, how do I apply my current routine or something very similar to that when I'm going out into Vegas, and to accommodate it that way. So first things first, I look at, hey, I'm doing HIIT training twice a week via Orange Theory. Are there Orange Theories out there? Yes, there is. Cool. All right, I'm going to book certain days. I'm going to go there based on my schedule for that week to make sure I still get 2 days of Orange Theory in when I'm over there. Got it. All set. Second thing I do is I look at, hey, I like more of the meathead type gyms. So can I find a gym that's comparable, or does my gym that's at my hotel room suffice to? And a lot of the gyms at like Caesars, wherever you're going to be, are phenomenal gyms. They have great gyms there for what you're going to do. So there's a place in Vegas that I really enjoy called Smash Fitness. It's off the strip about 15 minutes or so. And when I was there, I was just literally in Vegas a couple of weeks ago with my wife for summer league for the NBA, and I even made it in my schedule there to where I woke up at 6 o'clock in the morning, went to the gym, and got back and showered before my wife had even woken up. So
that's big.
I tell you, actually, this is really, I want to discuss this too. I'm changing on that quite a bit, and there's a reason for it. One of my buddies that I haven't seen for 17 years, 18 years from the Marines, he's kind of stationed here for 6 months doing work. And he used to be into lifting. He's not anymore. And he wants to get back into it. So he's coming over every Tuesday, Thursday, and Saturday, but he's got to be done by 8 o'clock, which means that we're lifting at 6:30, 7 o'clock in the morning every time. And, for me, I'd love to live with my buddy. I haven't got to see him in 17, 18 years. And this is a guy I went to war with, you know, one of my best friends. We were roommates. We hung out all the time, you know, just a solid friend. But we, you know, you drift over time, you know, when someone's living in a different location. So I really haven't talked too much. But it's funny because, like, guys, you can not talk to somebody for like 10 years, and then you talk, you're like nothing ever skipped a beat. It's like you have nothing to say after like 5 minutes. Like, oh yeah, I'm married, I got 3 kids, blah blah blah, and we're caught up, we're good, and we're back to normal, like we were just seeing each other again, you know, 10 years ago. But it's been good because, you know, he's got to get up super early in the morning, and I've become more accustomed to going to bed earlier and waking up earlier. So I'm enjoying actually waking up earlier nowadays. So I'm changing slightly a little bit on my habits. Yeah.
Things are changing. So he's coming over. You guys are training.
Oh my God, so much fun. Dude, like, honestly, if I wasn't insecurity, yeah. Oh my God, it's so much fun.
For so long.
Like he's like, I'm sick to my stomach. I'm like, yeah, you still got like 3 more sets to go, dude. Like, we're not stopping right now. I'm like, you better keep going. I'm like, I'm gonna call you a bitch, you know, like, you know, just, you know, so, you know, so he keeps going. And so, yeah.
I have a question. Whenever he was in the gym, did he mention the fact that there's a
you know, he hasn't actually mentioned that before. That's so funny. It's sitting right there too. He's never asked about it. I've never brought it up. I'm just gonna let it keep going. I'll keep moving it to different locations and see if he notices. And then maybe I'll put like the Thor hair on it at one day and see if he just make it more weirder and weirder and see if he ever says anything. But I've been enjoying getting up. But here's the thing with that though. So like my workout routines are you know, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday's a rest day, Thursday, Friday, Saturday. So I'm lifting 5 days a week. So I need to figure out how am I going to get 5 days a week also in Vegas. So what I usually do is I'll look at my calendar for that week and I'll block off days that I can go and get those 5 days, even though if it's not the same days, like maybe it's a Sunday I'm lifting versus, you know, a Wednesday if I'm training or something like that. So I really try to keep the same type of schedule so that I'm still in my routine. Now, if it's vacation, maybe it's a little bit different where I'm not doing as much. Maybe I only go and lift 4 days a week or 3 days a week. But you know, in this specific case, I really try, if it's especially for like a work type of event, I try to stay within my same routine and don't allow work to dictate the changes in my schedule. Also plan, you know, I'm on TRT, so testosterone replacement therapy. I get all my injections kind of prepped ahead of time. If you're on TRT, I've never had any issues bringing, you know, any of that stuff. You know, obviously it's doctor prescribed, so there's no issue there, but, I usually put it in my check-in bag. I've heard a lot of folks put it in their carry-on. I've never had issues with it. I just don't know the rules around needles inside of your bag that you're doing to carry on. But I bring those with me. I bring all my multivitamins. I have them broken out based on days. So Monday through Friday or Monday through Sunday, I am all basically broken out each day of the supplements I need to take, both morning and night. And then from there, you know, I just plan my days, plan my routines. And then, you know, usually what I'll do when I get there, instead of having to bring like a shit ton of protein and things like that, I'll just go hit a local GNC store, go get the protein and pre-workout at that location, and then bring it back so that I don't have to worry about carrying all that stuff on and taking up room and all that good stuff. But that's really my plan is I try to keep the exact same consistency while I'm out there. And then when I'm eating, you know, again, when you're going out to a restaurant, you can eat super healthy, you can eat super unhealthy. There's salads available, there's steaks available. You know, there's ways to eat whole foods. Just stick to whole food consumption instead of dealing with like pastas and burgers and stuff like that. Try to stick to whole foods as you're going out to these restaurants and eat, you know, fairly decent.
Yeah, I think, I mean, if we take it right back and think about the generalization, and I'm not saying for everybody, but we spoke about this before, of the cybersecurity industry being a naturally unhealthy industry, and almost like, you know, it's almost like a dick measuring contest to see who can be the most unhealthy person. And I imagine this is like a condensed, magnified, everybody's together version of that. So it is lots of alcohol, lots of eating out and all this sort of shit. So I can imagine one of the big struggles is, you know, if I'm going and I'm on this different journey to everybody else, being able to be involved in that and still be able to sort of stay in line with what I'm doing is probably going to be a big issue as well. So like if everybody's out and getting fucked up and having pizza and staying up late and getting up early and whatever they need to do, how do you sort of manage, and what do you sort of think the best way to tackle that is?
I think the way that I look at like the unhealthy aspect of things. So like when you go to Vegas, I mean, you're expected to be partying every night. There's parties literally every single night, like Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday.
That's that's my view on it. Like, I don't imagine you go for like a healthy retreat, a wellness. I can't imagine there's like wellness retreats.
And then on top of that, like you're super busy.
Sort of
so let's just say you're actually going to Blackhat, which is predominantly more training. They do have, sessions and, speaking sessions and things like that as well for 2 days. And then you have DefCon, which is really I think it's like Thursday a little bit, and then Friday, Saturday, Sunday, most of the days. Saturday, Sunday being the two prominent. But those days are typically filled jam-packed of talks and networking and different villages and things like that. So you're always continuously on the move and busy as you're going through all this. And then at night, your events are the craziness. So, if your plan is to go to the conference, okay, and let's just say you're going there earlier in the morning, like 9, 10 o'clock, and then you're, maybe break out just a little bit early before all the parties, like 4 o'clock, go get your lift in. And then from there, go party the rest of the night. Get a disco pump.
A disco pump.
So the disco pump, just if you haven't listened to all the podcasts, because Ben sends me, it's like, hey, I'm going to go get a disco pump before I go out tonight. I'm like, what the hell's a disco pump? And he's like, it's basically where you lift your upper body so you look bigger. You get that pump going, and you look bigger as you go out in the club. I'm like, that is the best idea I've ever heard in my entire life. So I do a disco pump every time I'm going out with Aaron. But get a good workout in before you start hitting all the parties and everything else. You're going to feel refreshed. You're going to feel better. And then after that, you go out and party. And then, the next day, you're hungover or whatever is all great. Go to the conference maybe 11 o'clock or 12 o'clock. Again, go hit the gym again, after you're done with that, and then go out and party again. So you can still do, the events and activities, but again, spend time for yourself, plan time for yourself to get in your cardio or your lifting, to do what you can so that you can still be part of the social events and the fun that is all Vegas, but also keeping the same, type of mindset around, how you do your activities.
Yeah, I think the thing is, it just comes down to being prepared. Do you know what I mean? Like thinking ahead, and it's not just turning up and being like, oh shit, I haven't thought about any of this stuff. And I think one thing that I used to fall into the trap of, like, as soon as I went to a different city or as soon as I stepped off a plane, it was just as if everything should be different. Like I eat like an ass. Like even the last time I was in London, I actually really struggled to eat healthy because I only know how to eat like an asshole whenever I'm in London, because I'm like, that's what I do when I get there. Like, I can get burgers and do whatever. And it's like, how do I sort of reframe it? It's just like changing your mindset to it. And it is just about looking at your time, as you said, and, whether you're there for the entire week or whether you're there for a couple of days, like zooming out on things and changing things around that potentially you get all your lifts in before you go, and you do it sort of on a 2-week period before and after or whatever. Or looking at where the gyms are, like, are you going to book a hotel that has a decent gym or fitness center, as they're known, or where the local gyms are, like I said, and then, like I said, supplements, bringing them with you, just planning your time. And I think, I get that it's a social thing, it's a networking thing, but it doesn't mean you need to go and get fucked up. And I realize that that's a big ask to go to a situation like that. It's a party and not get fucked up. But, it depends what your goals are and what you're trying to achieve. And if that's more important to you,
what I've also kind of done a bit on the drinking front, just to kind of pace myself, is that I'll bank like some calories, like let's just say 500 or 600 calories. And what I'll do,
easy for you when your calories are like 3,800.
Oh no, I'm not going to eat, a bunch of shit today. And then, okay, anyways, but what I'll do is I'll bake some calories, like 600 calories or 700 calories or so, and I'll just stick to kind of like hard seltzers or like light beers or things like that, so that, I'm not totally tanked by the end of the night. First of all, I don't honestly even like getting drunk, to be perfectly honest with you. It's, back in the Marine days and early DefCon days and stuff like that, that was, I guess, fun and exciting, but I just don't like the feeling. I don't like the feeling the next day. So, if I'm socially drinking, I'll sit there with the hard seltzer and I'll just, drink those, span it over 4 or 5 hours where I'm having 5 seltzers, so maybe 1 per hour. That's no big deal. You're going to feel fine the next day. You're not going to have any major issues. You can, hit the ground running, and you can still be socially fun and have a good time, and alcohol still does release that, barrier of you being more socially accepted, less socially awkward, I guess, or more relaxed, I guess is the best way of doing it socially. So, it's still all those perks. You're just not smashed and hammered and feeling like crap the next day. So just pacing yourself and, being responsible with it all. Man, look at me. I sound like an adult.
It's actually, yeah, you really
I can assure you that's not the case. But
it's actually funny you mention that. No, I know. It's funny you mentioned the alcohol thing, because I've had this conversation a couple of times, like with Matt and a couple of other people, like, I've obviously done it before when I'm younger. Like I've lived that life and it's fine. But I'm not against it at the minute. Like I'm not like if you went out and like, do you want to grab a beer and have a drink? I'm like, yeah, all day long. But I know the implications that have on the next day or the coming days after that. And I know I'm a lot like sharper and more focused, obviously, if I don't drink. And to me, it's not always worth it. Some situations, yeah, I'll drink to be social and enjoy. Like I'm not, nobody can drink and whatever else. But it's funny that you mentioned, because my dad texted me today actually about, I have it here.
Oh, yeah.
Alpha Brain, the On It stuff. And he was like, what do you think? And I was like, well, number one, I take that many different things. I'm not entirely sure that I could recommend that one specific thing makes any word of improvement. I was like, what are you trying to achieve? And he was like, I need to be more focused. Now, for anybody who's listening, my dad owns a bar and lives in that culture and drinks quite regularly. I was like, just stop drinking then. And he just answered back saying, you're a fucking idiot. I was like, I mean, that's the solution. Like, don't drink as much and you will have a clearer mind. You'll be more focused. Obviously, he's joking. He doesn't think I'm an idiot. But, the idea of being able to put back on the amount of alcohol you drink to have a clearer mind. Like, if I go, whenever I'm there with you in September, I know that we're going to consume alcohol, no doubt.
Irish car bombs.
So I know I'm going to be a bit foggy for a couple of days. Yes, I'm going to be a bit foggy for a couple of days, but I accept that. But I'm not afterwards being like, oh, I need to be able to be more focused. What the fuck's going on? I'm like, I've been a pisshead for a couple of days. That's probably what's going on. But I know the rest of the time that I don't drink just for the sake of drinking. It needs to be an event or I am somewhere or whatever. So yes, decide what you want to do in terms of drinking. The other thing is, I guess we need to talk about food, because it's probably people's main struggle. And this is travel across the board. And obviously you've done a travel, how to manage travel podcast before. But I think, again, it just comes down to a bit of forward thinking. I was talking to Lou earlier on, and he was like, what's your recommendation on that? And my go-to when it comes to managing food when you're away is try and, number one, recognize it's not going to be perfect. So don't be beating yourself up about it being perfect, because it never is going to be. Number two, try and prioritize or front load your protein early on in the day so that you're not trying to chase it at the end of the day. I find that breakfast is especially if you're like in a hotel setting, like breakfast is the easiest meal to hit your protein, like to get your protein in, because you can just eat pretty much just protein for breakfast. And then it means that you're not worried about it or concerned about it later on in the day. And we know that if you go into, like my question in the group about the Chinese food the other night, so don't be afraid to order slightly differently off the menu, or don't be afraid to you don't need to accept that the menu needs to be that way. You can sort of try and manipulate it as best possible for you. So the story about the Chinese food is, it was a family birthday and everybody's getting Chinese food. And I do not have the calories for eating Chinese food right now. Let's put it like that. But I also didn't want to either turn up and not eat while everybody else is eating, or turn up with my own food. And I was like, how can I manage this? So basically what I did was, number one, bank calories, and number two, just order from the Chinese. I got, and I don't mean like a Chinese restaurant eating out. I'm talking about like a hole in the wall,
so the best kind
Chinese restaurant. I was like, I just want, it is the best. Like, it is absolutely outstanding, but I had to be sensible. So I just got a chicken chow mein and I asked them to cook it with no oil or no fat. So they just like steam the noodles in water. So it was literally just chicken. I got extra chicken as well. It was literally just chicken and noodles. And I banked like 1,000 calories for it, and I woke up and I was no heavier. So it did the job. I was able to be social. I just ordered slightly differently off the menu and was that sort of picky person. So you can do that whenever you're in restaurants too. Again, it comes down to looking at the menu beforehand, making the choice of where you're going to go, understand the locations that are close to you, understanding that you can order double protein source and not have the sauce on the side. Like, just break it down.
Yeah, I do that. I do that all the time, especially for Chinese.
Like
a lot of times I'll just say, hey, I just want some white rice, or if they have brown rice available, even better. And then just throw extra chicken on top of that, and broccoli, vegetables, and then put the sauce on the side, so I can kind of control the amount of sauce they're putting on there. So it's just literally chicken, broccoli, and rice. That's perfect. That's like the most amazing meal ever. So throw some garlic on there, you're all set. Yeah, it's like literally my favorite meal. So
it's my favorite meal.
Yeah, definitely ways that you can be, conscious that way. And a lot of times if you have, two sides, at a restaurant they're going to, so a lot of times I'll order like a steak, and then you have two sides that come available. I'll order like asparagus and then doubled up maybe with like broccoli or something like that. So I'm staying away from like all the crazy starches and stuff like that. If they have sweet potatoes, that's great, but.
Well, number one, if you're in a steak restaurant, you're definitely getting surf and turf, so you have shrimp along with prawns. along
Absolutely.
with your steaks, you get more protein.
So different ways you can just, again, try to get
bat.
your protein intake. Also, don't be hesitant to supplement with protein shakes. Go get those. Most of the stores carry, Fairlife protein shakes in Vegas. Usually not the 42 gram ones. I don't usually see those as much, but the 26 grams ones they'll do. So, pop one of those in.
You don't see them because you
it's like the first thing I look for.
Them all from the entire. You have them all.
It's the first thing I look for.
Nobody can find them. Nobody can find them. The other thing, and again, correct me on this. The majority of people I've been speaking to is like you're quite active at these things, so you're going to do a lot of steps. Do you know what I mean? So remember that as well. Do you know what I mean? You're probably going to be over your usual output. I mean, if you're a person who sits at a desk all day in work, and then you're spending all day walking about a massive conference, you're going to be infinitely more. Yeah. You're going to have infinitely more steps and more output. So take that into consideration.
So that's kind of the DefCon preparedness guide. Again, be mindful of what you're eating, the times that you're going to bed and sleep and rest. I mean, granted, you're probably not going to get as much sleep, so cool. That's fine. You're going to shave some sleep off, but at the same time, getting your training in, making sure you plan appropriately for the vitamins that you might be using, multivitamins. Screw the vitamin guy, and all of the other things that are in there. Your protein, making sure again, out of all this, you're maintaining your protein goals is probably one of the most important things you could do, so you don't lose anything that week and go back a week. But at the same time, again, try to make do with what you can. Try to get your training in when you can. Make prioritization for yourself, and then after that, everything else is all good. So,
yeah, I think another side to this is if you want to go and just get fucked up and not give a shit about your health and fitness goals for a week, then by all means, we're not telling you need to live this way. Do you know what I mean? If you want to go and get fucked up and have a blowout because you don't go away that often and that's what you want to do, then don't feel like,
absolutely.
listen to Ben and Dave and he says I have to get up and go for a run here at fucking 5 o'clock in the morning. Just go and get fucked up, do whatever you want. But these are just sort of guidelines in terms of if you want to try and stay on track, which I know.
Yeah, and that's the thing. Like, if it's just going to be a week where you're just going to take it off and go, have a good time, absolutely go for it. Just make sure you hit the ground running even harder when you come back, right? It's that consistency, that discipline that Ben had mentioned.
Good.
That makes it a big difference for you as you start to come back off of this, right? Don't get into the same cyclical effects of like, oh, well, it was just 1 week. I'll just do one more week off just to kind of chill. And then it becomes 3 weeks. It becomes 4 weeks. And then you're back in the same situation. Yeah, what did I do?
It's 6 months
So,
later,
if you're going to do it, trust yourself that you're going to get back into it and go from there. But otherwise, hit it hard. Can't keep that consistency going. And make it all, as best as you can during that period of time. The one thing I want to hit on, the last thing I want to hit on as part of this is.
I'm nervous because last week you said this thing we started talking about spray tans, and that was a curveball.
Well, there was a new study that came out. And this one was actually very particularly interesting to me because I thought it was the exact opposite from everything I was taught. I was always taught that naps were good for you. And that, taking quick naps throughout the day was a good thing. And even like if you listen to Huberman said, science-wise, taking a 20, 30-minute nap, no issue with that at all. If you start getting a little bit more into that, that may be a little bit of an issue. But there was a new study that just came out literally about a week ago. And I'm just going to yawn right in the middle of this. Oh, my gosh. That yawn just came out. Wasn't that stopping? Talking about naps. I got to take a nap.
Maybe you need a nap.
Hopefully I didn't make her... What's a nappuccino?
Before we get in, have you ever done a nappuccino? So you have a coffee, and then you take a 20-minute nap. So the idea is you are refreshed. You're refreshed from the nap, and just by the time that the caffeine starts,
interesting. I'll have to try that.
So you're like good to go again.
Nappuccino. All right, learning something. Got the disco pumps and nappuccinos now, so we're good.
What a way to live your life, disco pumps and nappuccinos. Spray tans and blonde
things are different, man. Things have gone way different, man.
Turned for the worst.
All right, so this is a study. Yeah. So this is the news article is from Medical News Today, but the studies referenced here. And there was basically 2 studies that have always been referenced before, but they weren't long-term, large studies that took a look at how naps impact your health. So there's a study in 2017 that found that daytime napping may be associated with a higher risk of hypertension. But then in the 2019 study found that daytime napping may be protective against hypertension. So we have one study basically saying it's bad for you, one study saying it's basically good for you. Well, this latest study that just came out this year basically observed over 500,000 participants age range between 40 and 69 in the United Kingdom. And ultimately, they whittled the number down to 358,000 participants. And then among those participants, 50,507 had hypertension, 4,333 had strokes with a median follow-up of 11.6 years. And here's the most interesting part. So, there's a lot of risk factors here. So people living, sedentary lifestyles, not being healthy in their lives. So some of these can obviously equate to higher risk numbers. But after the researchers adjusted for risk factors, they found that individuals who sometimes napped increased the risk of hypertension by 7%, the risk of stroke by 12%, and the risk of ischemic stroke, the most common type of stroke caused by blood clotting, was by 9% compared to individuals who never nap. The study found individuals who usually napped more often increased their risk of hypertension by 12%, the risk of stroke by 24%, and the risk of ischemic stroke by 20% compared to individuals who never nap. So I was like, that doesn't sound great. So
that's actually because whenever you were saying about those who sometimes nap, I was like, is it the fact that it's sometimes, or is it the fact that
it's one that consistently nap?
It's actually worse.
Yes. And so what they're saying is,
interesting.
The body of research of napping suggests to Dr. Wayne that the middle-aged people, a daily nap of 15 to 30 minutes might be the best and was not associated with the risk of cardiometabolic disease. So basically, if you're taking short naps and you're middle-aged, not bad for you, is apparently what it's saying. So short naps, 15 to 30 minutes. If you're taking an hour, 2 hours, 3 hour naps, that's not great for you during the day. Yeah. I can only do like 20 to 30 minutes maximum, and then I'm done. I'm up. But basically, keep an eye on your naps, how often you're napping, can definitely lead to potential cardiovascular health issues, which I thought was like everybody always says naps are great. But, I also think, what this is also demonstrating and showing is that you don't want to, have bad sleep patterns where you're not getting good sleep at night, which is one of the most important aspects of your overall health. And then basically trying to make up with that by doing naps throughout the day. That doesn't work or equate that way. So get good sleep at night. And then, if you need a nap, like I find that taking a nap around 1 o'clock for 20 minutes, is not a bad thing. So, even if it's in my office, I'll just take a quick 20-minute crash nap, get back up, feel rejuvenated, great, ready to hit the ground running again. So it's not every day, but something to consider as you're going through and doing this. Don't take long naps.
It's actually interesting. Like, if you think a bit deeper, like you said, is it then a case of it's actually they don't get good quality sleep whenever they're actually having their night sleep, and maybe that is ultimately part of the problem. Because I have a client who always sort of napped, and like I was like, that's fine. Like, he will do some work, have a nap, and then get up and train. And in probably the past couple of months, he sort of made the decision to actually prioritize his night's sleep and not have a nap, and he much prefers it because the day runs a lot smoother. He's getting up early, he can manage everything, and he says there's no need for the nap because he's prioritizing his actual night's sleep. So I think if you work on that piece first, now I get that not everybody's schedule can accommodate for getting a good night's sleep or whatever. Like if you work shift patterns or work nights or different types of patterns and whatever. So if you do need to manage it that way, then that's absolutely fine. But if you can prioritize getting a decent night's sleep, or at least setting those boundaries in. And this is something that I've sort of been trying to get across to you guys recently, is it's not about beating yourself up, that I need to go to bed by 10 o'clock because I'm going to be up at 6 o'clock and I need to get my 8 hours. Because I sometimes find if you do that and you get into bed and you're like, I'm not sleeping, then it makes the whole thing worse. Whereas what I've tried to do myself is give myself that this is the window that I have allocated for sleep. Yep. It's from this time to this time, and know that that's available for me to sleep. But I know tonight, for example, because we have our group call and it finishes 9 o'clock-ish.
Yeah, unwind.
I don't go straight to bed. It's not like I can't go straight to bed. Like I need to do something to sort of unwind. Yeah. So I know that tonight I tend to stay up slightly later, and I'll still obviously want to go at the same time, but it's knowing that that's okay and not beating myself up like, as soon as I hit off the call, I need to go up and get into bed. Like, it's about knowing I have that.
And I think the last thing I'll mention on this one, and then we wrap up the podcast, but the last thing I said, the conclusion from the authors of the study said excessive daytime sleepiness and taking longer naps were associated with increased risk of type 2 diabetes and everything else that we just mentioned, with short naps not increasing the risk. So again, short naps, not bad. Long naps, not good for you. So, keep that in mind as you're going through and taking long naps. Right. That's basically the
short nap's not bad,
this.
long nap's not good. That's it. That's the soundbite. That's all everybody needs to know.
That's right.
You made it this far. You listened to us for 55 minutes, and that's all you need.
I'm gonna
to
go take a short nap right now.
Short nap's
Just
not
kidding.
bad. Long nap's not good. I'm not.
I just finished this one, and I can literally take a nap right now.
Caffeines.
Nappuccino time.
That's
All
the
right.
nappuccino,
Well,
that's
hey,
what I'm saying.
Everybody, enjoy your time.
Yeah.
It is my birthday.
Anyway, it's going to be your birthday. You're going to be a year older when this comes out.
No worries. Let's
older,
keep it going. I don't see any signs of slowness right now. I'm only getting stronger. So let's tackle this age thing together. Let's do it.
I'm in for it.
All right, everybody. Hey, thanks for listening to us. Hey, again, recommend us if you're liking what we're talking about. We do this for fun to help others. So the more that we get this information out there to help other people, that's great for us. So check us out on We Hack Health on Twitter, Discord, social media, everything else. WeHack.health is our website. Thanks again for tuning in for this week, and we'll catch you again next week. Later.
Good.